Hello there, I'm Shane Young, and I get the privilege of helping you learn Copilot Studio. But before we start, I did want to let you know that I worked with the Microsoft product team to create this awesome training for all of you Power Platform rock stars. Cool? Cool. Okay, let's get to it. Okay, so now to finish up here, right, we got to update the parent record in Dataverse, which is going to require an action and a little bit more in the instructions part. We'll see in just a second. So let's go ahead and start by creating the action. We know we need to do that. So we'll go here and say add an action. We will search for our friend Dataverse again and update a row in a selected environment. All right, it's all connected. So say next. And now let's update the name and description. So update the main incident report with a new current status. Update the main incident report with a new current status as determined by the agent. Change our authentication to Copilot author and say add action. Okay, and so then there is our name. And now, like I call this one get parent, I'm gonna probably call this one update parent. So we'll click here and we will change this to update parent. I would have preferred parent get and parent update, but it's not worth fixing at this point. Just to make them easier so they kind of were faster to find, but that'll work. So then on the input side, first thing we gotta do is set as value, confirm. And for the last time, you get to laugh at our environment being named Shane. And then here for our table name, we will say set as value, confirm, and we'll search for our incidents main, like that, and then we'll hit enter. Now for the row ID down here, we'll put in something like this. Enter the row's global unique identifier good, what was already there. This is the incident row ID that you received in the initial prompt. So that to me makes a lot of sense. So that gets us the record that we want to update, right? That's getting us back to the right row. Now what fields we want to update? So we'll scroll back up here, we'll say add, and then now in the list of fields, there is current status and it's a string. So we're gonna say current status, scroll down here, and we're gonna try this. Use the current status as determined by the agent using the instructions. Once again, in my first pass, I put in here like all of the gritty details and they got repeated in the instructions. So I had them in two places. And we might have to come back and do that, but we're going to first just try the simple. Use the current status as determined by the agent using the instructions. So let's try it. We'll say save. Okay. And now let's go back here to overview. And so for the instructions, we're going to say edit. And here's what I want to write. We're just going to delete all this. And for 6, I'm going to write a whole bunch here. Let me paste it in real quick. All right, let's try this. So set the current status field of the original incident report using the action update parent based strictly on the determined severity. If the incident was categorized as major, set the current status field to safety committee. If it's personal injury, human resources, property damage, facilities, I'm trying to skip reading all the words to you. For incidents that don't clearly fall into the above categories or where no escalation was required, set the current status field to pending. Do not prompt the user for clarification. So this was something that kind of left over a few different times. It would ask the user because it was a little confused. But you know what? We're going to get rid of that one. Let's see if my new prompt here does a good enough job that doesn't happen, but maybe we'll put it back. I don't know, right? Once again, I want you to see different things I've tried, different things I used along the way. Here we go. Let's go ahead and say save. And let's scroll down here. Let's just fire our trigger, say start our testing, and see what we get. All right, our actions are off to the races, right? So we got the data back. We're getting a photo description. Yep, we're going to update that photo description. And we're going to send an email. We're going to update the new one with the current status. And if we look right in here, that says pending. Yes, this looks like it is going to do what we want it to do. Yay! I wish you could see how excited I was. Like I'm doing a little party over here because, when you're building these things, right? Like there's a lot of moving pieces and lots of little things that we could have messed up along the way that would have just required a little tweak here, a little word there, but I was hoping we weren't going to have to do that. I was hoping I got it right on this first try. So super exciting. Our incident report works. Okay, so at this point, what I need you to do, right, we'll go back over to overview just because it's easier, but I want to make sure that we publish. So we're going to say publish here, and then we get some risk, but these are warning us about the things running as the user's credentials, but they have to because it's autonomous. So we're going to say publish. The reason we need to publish this, so when we're in the testing interface, when we're using the panel over on the right, it was always using the latest version of the agent. But if this agent had been triggered by the actual flow running, it would have used the last published state, and so all of our changes would not have happened. So make sure when you're happy and good, we publish, so then that way when the flow triggers, everything works out. Also remember, there's nothing that we need to do back over here under channels, Analytics would show us what's happened. Now, I do want to go visit topics for a second, though. Let's go to topics. So all of these are on, right? Like every time I restart the test, I get this little welcome message, okay? In reality, they're never going to chat with it. And most of these topics are about facilitating a conversation. So what I want you to get in the habit of doing is turn off all of these. And it takes a second or two for each one. We're just going to go through and turn them off one by one. And the reason that we're going to do this is just less things for our agent to think about. So right now, when all these were here, every time that it ran, it had to process, do I need to do any of these things? And the answer was always no, but we were making it think. The same way that when we build our Power Apps, we're trying to reduce the amount of thinking our users have to do by not overwhelming them with too many buttons or too many decisions, we're going to do the same exact thing for our agent. That's why we only got back to specific columns. That is why we are now turning these off. That's why our instructions are as clear as possible. We want to make it a very concise process. Now, the only one of these I'm leaving on is on error, so that way the error handling is still in effect. I'll also tell you I'm very tempted to start deleting these, but I've not been deleting them. I've just been turning them off right now, but making my agent a little bit better. And so now that that's done, like I said, we don't need anything over here. So we are just going to do another publish because we want to make sure that the publish version now includes all that. So let's close right out. All right, hopefully this finishes it step by step. So I'll jump over to the closing.